we are starting now.
Okay, ma'am.
A very good morning to all the participants. Welcome to day 3 of our FDP. We have Dr. Nikhil with us. Dr. Nikhil Mariwala is working as Associate Professor and Head in Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, University Institute of Engineering and Technology, Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra. He did his PhD in ECE from NIT Kurukshetra, MTech in ECE from IASC University, and BTech in Electronics and Instrumentation from MMEC Mulana, Kurukshetra University. He has more than 18 years of experience of teaching graduate and postgraduate students. More than 31 students have completed their MTech dissertation under his guidance. His area of interest are software-defined radios, cognitive radios, soft computing, wireless communication, wireless sensor networks, fuzzy system design, and advanced microprocessors. Dr. Nikhil has published more than 5 book chapters in different international books and authored more than 10 books with Pearson, Wiley, to name a few. He has more than 30 publications to his credit in reputed international journals and 20 papers in international and national conferences. He also has 2 patents published to his credit. He has been chairman of special sessions in more than 6 international and national conferences and delivered a keynote address in more than 3 international conferences. He has also acted as organizing secretary for more than 3 international conferences. He is also the reviewer for many reputed journals such as International Journal of Communication System, Wiley, IEEE Signal Processing Letters, Egyptian Informatics Journal Elsevier, Current Journal of Applied Science and Technology UK, to name a few. Apart from academics, he is having additional responsibilities at UIAT Kurukshetra University, such as serving as training and placement officer and heading TNP cell for more than 10 years. Now, single point of contact and head of Swayam Naptel local chapter, single point of contact for Infosys Campus Connect program. Dr. Nikhil has also been awarded as Career Guru of the Month award by Aspiring Minds. Sir, we are pleased to have here with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thanks a lot for the wonderful introduction that you've given me. I normally forget what I have done. Nevertheless, thanks a lot. Very warm welcome to all the participants. Lovely to see that on a gazetted holiday you are still here to attend the course. That's great from the college side as well as from the participant side. So I'm sorry I got a bit delayed for a few minutes. So kindly allow me that, and just kindly let me know, ma'am, if you're able to see my screen. Is there any problem with some voice?
So we can hear you.
Right, great. So is my screen visible to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir, screen is visible now.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So again, I would like to welcome all the participants who have joined in and who have been going on with this course on machine learning and the different aspects. So thank you for the organizers for inviting me, and I hope that I'll be able to provide you some insights in what I am doing and what we have been looking forward for. So this is just a brief overview of what I have been lately doing with the different aspects of machine learning, and I'll be trying to introduce the software to you rather than basically talking about the theoretical aspects. I'll teach you how to practically utilize the features of this particular software, right, and how machine learning can be made interesting through this. So machine learning, I hope everybody has been given an overview in last few days about what you will be doing and how this course would go about, right? I am here talking about the LabVIEW software, and this particular software. Uh, I don't know how many of you have known about this, but one of the most interesting softwares that I have seen of lately, and I've been working this for now nearly more than a decade. And this particular aspect of the simulation structure, where I don't need to write any codes in any of the softwares, is very rare. I hope everybody understands that no everyone cannot write code, right? So I'm one of them. I don't like writing much, but I just imagine designing the system. So this particular software helps me out in designing rather than writing things, right? So very interesting, and I'll try and teach you what and how effectively we can design complex systems without writing a single line code, right? So what we'll be using here is we'll be utilizing the features of GUI, or graphical user interface, right? So try and remember these terms. I'll be using some of them, might be very new for you, but try and just analyze what I'm trying to give you, and hopefully you will be once you do a hands-on practice on these at your own place, it will be easier for you to actually understand the thing. So what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about a graphical programming environment, or a GUI interface, and this actually looks like this kind of a window, right? So the interesting part is everything can be done with the help of different block diagrams, right? As many of you must also be using Simulink also, but it is far better than that particular aspect, right? So we can have sophisticated measurement test, we can have different control systems designed, right? I'll in my next lecture I'll be actually designing this particular thing for you, right? Using the fuzzy structure. So very easy and very interesting how we'll be doing it through the LabVIEW. So that is why I've just uh, talked about how to use it. So once you understand how to use it, it will be very effectively utilized by all of you, right? So LabVIEW has an interface with wide variety of hardware structures, right? And all the existing hardwares can be just merely connected with the help of a USB port, right? It scales across different operating systems. So all the operating systems that you're working with are provides inbuilt analysis libraries. I'll just show you all those things practically right now. So what are the basic parts of a VI? VI means a virtual instrument. So you can just note down this name, virtual instrument. So what we are working with this is we are working with an instrument which is actually just like the instrument that you see in the labs, right? So this particular term is referred to all the structures, programs that you design, or the normally whenever we save anything in this particular software, it is termed as or saved as .vi extension, right? So I'll show you practically how we'll be doing this, right? So the parts of a particular VI are called as front panel, block diagram. We have an icon and a connector pane. So how do they look like? This is how they look like. So if you see, we have a front panel over here. This particular window is called as the front panel. This window is referred to as a block diagram, and this particular aspect is called as the icon connector pane. So what I'll do is I'll switch over from this presentation to directly to the software. So whenever you install this software, you have to click onto the icon, right? So when you click onto this icon, I'll just show you this particular window would appear, and this talks about the version of the software, etc., what we are using. Now what you need to do is you go to file, and I don't know why this is taking this much time. Right. So file and press new VI, or the shortcut is Control N. So when you press this new VI, two windows appear in front of you, front panel and block diagram, as you can see. Again, you need to press Control T, and both the windows would appear in front of you. Control panel, the front panel and the block diagram structure, right? So front panel and block diagram are the two things that you normally see, and this is the connector pane over here, where you can see my mouse rotating, right? So I'll be showing you how effectively you can design and how you can use this to the deep learning, machine learning concepts, right? But it is not possible in one and a half hour. But what I'll try and do is I'll try and ensure that you actually are able to use this software, and then again, it depends on all of you. The patience that you show with this will help you out design complex systems in a very small amount of time, right? So again, back to the PPT where we talk about different parts of a VI. So I've just shown you how they look like. So front panel, block diagram, and the icon pane connector over here. Then we have a front panel user interface where you see different aspects, right? So you can see some charts, you can see some knobs, you can see some input structures over here, controls basically, right? So the block diagram part talks about their representation, right? So because theoretically, again, I repeat, it is very difficult for anybody to understand what I'm trying to say, but I use this term graphical source code. Now, very interesting. I told you that we will not write a single line code while we design anything, but I'm still writing graphical source code. So everything will be depicted or written in the form of a graph. So you can see it over here, right? You can see different things over here, right? All these are written programs, but you have not written a single line code. These are available in the libraries, right? So I'll just show you, and then I hope that my voice is clear, because it is difficult for me to go back to the screen and analyze the
Yes,
things, right?
yes, sir, absolutely,
Great,
absolutely.
great. So now kindly see what I'm trying to show you. It is very interesting and very effective for see, all of us, I hope, are researchers or teachers or are doing some work with the students, and this particular software helps to actually show things in a very interesting manner, right? Now I'll just show you how. What you need to do is you need to right click onto this front panel, and you see a library structure coming in front of you, right? So I'll show you. When I go to Boolean and I click onto a LED, have a look. The LED comes, and I can just expand it, or I can do whatever I want to do, right? Click on, off. I go to some numeric part. I want to use a thermometer. I place a thermometer over here. Now, these are just basic types that I'm trying to show you, right? So you can see what is happening in the other part, in the block diagram also. I'm placing a dial over here. You see the icons are also coming up, right? I place a tank over here. Now this is just, I'm just trying to show you things, but this is not what we are doing today, right? I'm just trying to show you how effectively we can use this to for different analysis, right? So say I placed a chart over here. Now the chart comes over. Now you can see different things coming over, right? Graphs. There are many graphs. You can plot a 3D graph also, scatter plot, a pie chart, a stem cell, or surface graph, whatever you want, right? You just have to click onto that, and the thing would appear in front of you. You need not waste your time in analyzing or designing or writing code for all these things, right? Say I just clicked onto a 3D part, so it is trying to load that particular graphics over here, and the graphic got loaded, right? So a 3D graph comes into picture. I'll show you. I've just clicked this because I'll show you a 3D. In the last part, I'll show you a 3D structure, right? A plot surface is being depicted. Now, what you see is whatever icon I've placed on the front panel, they are basically a representation. Front panel, how it looks like, and at the back end, you see all the icons coming in front of you, right? So this is what is all about the graphical aspect of this software, right? Now front panel, again I repeat, you have different numeric controls, you have different Boolean controls, strings, etc, etc. I'll just write a very simple program for you, right? What I'll do is I'll write a program for you. String. I hope everybody understands the string, right? So whenever I place this in the front panel, you see an icon coming over, right? Now, when I right click onto this icon over here, and I want to create an indicator, so another indicator comes over. Right now, you just have a look. What I'll do is I'll place it over here and write it as output, and I can change this name as input. So a very simple program of writing input and output. Now let's analyze. I am attending an FDP program, right? So say I want to just print these characters here in the output structure, right? So how simple it will be. Just have a yeah,
Sorry to
anything?
disturb, but the screen is not visible now where you are writing the characters.
Okay, okay,
Only
okay,
that lab
okay.
view screen is visible.
Ma'am, I'm writing the same thing in the lab view part only. I don't know why it is not visible. Now is it now it is it there? I'm writing here.
Yeah, now it's there, sir. Now it's
Okay,
there.
okay, 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 great. So I'm attending an FDP. I've just written this particular line over here, right? So a string of characters need to be displayed. Very simple program. Otherwise, in C, C++, Python, etc., whatever you use, you have to write certain things over here. Now, very simple. I've just placed an input and output part over here, and what I'll do is I'll click onto this icon called as run. We see the output coming exactly over there, right? Simple line code. I congratulate IILM college, right? So whatever you want. My name is this. So I just run this, and this will keep on adding. So a very simple string programming written within just a few seconds, I should say. And nobody knows even how to use this software right now, right? But still, we will be able to design things, right? Now, what I'm trying to give you is how simple the programming would become, or the structural designing would become if we try and use this particular software to our advantage, right? So very simple thing. So I'll just move back to the presentation and just show you what I was up to and what I was trying to tell you. So how to utilize this? I have just given you the block diagram configuration, right? The icon pane connector, we'll talk about this also, how to utilize this. And we have a newer addition in this particular part, which is called as a project explorer, right? So you can save your VI in the form of a project explorer also, and you can keep on adding the files and folders to that project, right? So a very interesting thing that the National Instruments have actually incorporated. And one more thing, one very interesting thing I would like to tell you. Say I have made this project, I can also create an exe file out of this project. So if we have a purchased version of LabVIEW, you will be able to create an exe file of the entire software that you have designed, and you'll be able to run it on any machine after this, right? So what an interesting aspect that they have given. So very interesting. You need not have the LabVIEW part over there, but you can create an exe file for your own self, and then you can share it with other people to actually run it, save it, and then use it or see your particular design that you have made, right? Front panel, I've already shown you over here. Controls and indicators, object styles, object types, where we talked about Boolean, numeric, string. I've already used this character called a string, and I'll show you other aspects also. Then we have front panel. We have just used this button called as run. This is continuous run, stop, pause, etc., etc. There are so many functions over here. So whenever we move a cursor onto these buttons, they represent what they are actually meant for, right? So this is a very interesting thing in this particular aspect. Controls and indicators, definitely you've just seen them, the input devices, knobs, etc., etc., graphs, LEDs, output devices, right? So we've all seen this, and there are different types of uh, controls available. We have modern types, we have system controls, silver controls, classic controls. So I don't know, I just I'll show you that. So when I right click onto this, you can see silver. So you see silver, system, then you see classic, right? So there is no difference in it. The point is that when I use silver, you'll see very sophisticated type LED over here, right? The controls just have similar function. The point is that they have just refined how they look like, right? So a knob is looking like this. So if I was using earlier case knob, you can see the difference, right? You can see the difference. So nothing else, but the representation has just changed, right? So graphs would look more refined in this case, right? So this just the representation has changed. So what I'll do is I'll move forward, and suddenly I thought that if I want to run this code continuously, I can run this over here, right? And I can write, I want to work, right? I'm just writing it continuously now. I want to work with LabVIEW, right? So I just added this, clicked onto the tick, and the output is achieved, right? So this is how simple it can be. If you don't want this kind of a structure, I'll tell you another different other ways to write this kind of thing. Now we have a block diagram configuration where again I press right click and you see different libraries coming in front of you. And the most interesting one is the structures, where you use for loop, while loop, case structures, flat sequences, math script, formula node, right? Math script means MATLAB programs can be directly written into the LabVIEW part, and they can be executed similar fashion to which MATLAB does it, right? Even you can write your own formulas in the formula node. So these are very important when we are talking about any kind of a mathematical structure, and machine learning is all about how mathematics can be modeled into this, right? So these are very, very important for us. I'll use a while loop for beginning. I'll just place this, what I've done. I don't know whether I was fast or slow. So right click, structures, while loop, click onto this and place this while loop onto this, right? And right click here, create a control. So you'll see a stop button coming in front of you. The stop button also is represented in the front panel, so that if you want to stop the program from running, you can just expand this also over here, right? Now I have a look. So I'm running this, and this is continuously running. Even I haven't pressed the run continuous button, because this is while loop. While the structure is being executed, right? Now you can again perform the similar action, right? Thanks for the introduction, right? I've just written it. I just click it. So the same thing comes over. Just because the buffer window is little short, so it is not showing it, right? Now you can see it. So it will run continuously now. While loop, simple structure. Stop. Run from here, stop from here, right? So there are so many things. Now I'll show you a very interesting thing after some time in this particular, but we have written a very first program for what we are doing, right? So you can just very well analyze how easy it will be, because I haven't written a single line code here. But what I have done is I have just utilized the features of the graphical programming language that were available in the LabVIEW. Now I'll just quickly move to the presentation and try and show you different things so that we are able to program certain aspects quickly, and then we'll move to the machine learning aspects of this particular software, right? So numeric controls and indicators, I've already given you how they are utilized, how these numeric controls would work, and we have an input and we have an output. This can be for numeric, this can be for strings, this can be for arrays, whatever you want to do, right? Then we have Boolean controls in the form of push button LEDs, push button structures, right? Switches, true and false. So everything is available in this. Strings, I've just shown you string control, and you can also plot the controls, the data into some tabular structure also, right? So the block diagram consists of terminals, nodes, wires, and context help, right? So this is how it looks like, right? You can see this. I just shown you this before I moved into the PowerPoint structure. Now this bulb is very important. I'll just show you the function of this. Once we design a particular thing, I'll tell you how effective and how important this is for certain design engineers, right? Which are working with the data part. Very, very interesting it will be, right? Now we have block diagram structure where you see terminals, constants, nodes where you see different functions, sub-VI structures, wires, free labels, etc., etc. So say simple function you want to design, right? Now I'll give you area of a triangle, multiplier, and I hope everybody understands the area of a triangle, right? So height, base, and the area. So we have two different aspects, the height and the base of the triangle, and then we want to find out an area of a triangle. So I'm just writing a code for this. Now have a look. We'll just try and write a code for this while I use a multiplier. In fact, I need two multipliers in this case, right? So you can see what I'm trying to do, right? So roughly click onto this, create a constant, right? Or what you can do is just right click here and create a numeric indicator or sorry, numeric control, right? So I can just click onto this and this will be X. Create a numeric control. This will be Y, right? I just connect this to the next part, create again the value, right? And create a output. So what I'm doing is right clicking onto this and create a indicator. Now you see X into Y. Now this is very simple mathematical structure. You see all the values. I haven't written, again, I repeat, I haven't written a single line code over here, but what I have done is I've just utilized the features of the block diagram over here and then trying to get the values, right? So what you can do is you can write some values over here. 4, 6, right? And here, in fact, if I want, I can just fix this value, or I can use a constant also, right? I can replace this with a constant. Right click onto this and create a constant. Oh. Right? So this becomes a constant value for me now. Now what I do is I run this and you get the value. Very simple. I've just run this program once and you get the value. Again, if I want that this should continuously run, I place this under a while loop and I right click to create a control so that a stop button comes for me. I place it over here so that whenever I want to stop, I can click onto this button and I'll use it. Now I'll show you the bulb configuration, the bulb that I was trying to show you. Right, so run this. This is giving you some values. Now you change and you get the output values change. Right? You can see this. Now a running program. I don't know how many languages support this kind of a running program for you, where you can change the values within the program while it is running. Right? Now see, what I'm trying to do over here is I'll click onto this highlight execution button, which is called as a bulb or depicted as a bulb, and see what happens. Now you can see the flow of data. I hope everybody can see this. And you can see the values also. Right? You can see those dots moving around and you can see the values going for you. Now say I change it again. So it will take some time to change the output now because it has to show the flow of data. Now it has just changed, right? You can see this. Just change it and there will be some time taken by the software to depict the output structure. So you can very well see the flow of the information going. That is why I told you this button highlight execution is very important for design engineers. Now in machine learning, if I've designed a particular area structure and I want to see how data is flowing inside the design, this button would help me out, right? I hope you can see this. Any questions till here? Because I have been talking about a lot right now. Anything you want to ask? So I hope, ma'am, you have given them the rights to ask the question in between also. I don't know. I can see a lot of people joined in right now. So anything you want to ask till here? I thought that this should be an interactive session, so I am just trying to ensure that rather than teaching you a theoretical part in the machine learning, because theory you can definitely read on your own, I am just trying to talk about trying to introduce software to you so that you practically get an hands-on practice onto this, right? So we have been just designing a few simple programs in this particular part, and I again try and tell you, I haven't written a single line code, if you can see. The most interesting part is, again, I repeat, when I run this particular program, in between the running of the program, now I'll just skip over this highlight execution. Now you can change the values within the program while it is running, right? So you can get whatever. Now you can just implement any damn formula in this, right? It can be any formula over here. You can implement it using the numeric palettes. You can see add, subtract, multiply, divide, quotient, conversion, increment, whatever you can think about, square root, square, negate. So everything about mathematics is here. Then we move on to the comparison part, and you see everything depicted over here. Very simply, you can see all the things coming over. The Boolean functions are there. So very interestingly, you can also design your Boolean structure in this case, right? So a universal gate for that example. So anything you want to work with now. I am just trying to give you a software which works with anything, right? Strings, the structures are there, right? So whatever code you want to write, you just have to imagine that, make a flow chart about it, and analyze how what blocks you require, rather than thinking about what command you require, right? So this is a very new approach for designing complex structures. Now this is very simple. Everybody can do simple things in many programs over here, right? But when we talk about some complexity in the system, it is very difficult to read some very complex line codes. But it is very easy to see a code in front of us and then analyze it, right? I'll give you certain more examples after this, right? So terminals for front panel objects, etc., are represented in this particular form, and I'll also show you how this input structure can be changed into this, right? This is just the representation. So right clicking and just clicking onto the view would change them. Now have a look over how interesting and how beautifully they have designed this particular thing. Numeric with orange color, right? There are two types of numerics. I hope everybody understands that, right? So one is with orange, another one is with the blue. Boolean is represented by the green color, strings with the pink color, right? So the color combination is very interesting, and the wires also, if I say connect this string to this string, right, the input and output, the color of the wire would also be pink. The color of the Boolean function would also be green. The wire, the color of the wire, right? So very interesting. Now you can see we have just designed this. The color of the wires were accordingly the orange color, and they were representing what? They were representing the numeric part, which is basically the normal numeric structure that we normally use. So function nodes, we have already utilized them. This particular part is called as a node for us, right? So functional nodes, and they are basically depicting or giving the function to the VI that we are actually designing. And sub VI, I'll tell you how sub VIs can be used. We also have express VIs. Very interesting. Express VIs, right? So they have already designed the things for you. You just need to use them, right? In the lab, also we will be trying to see how express VIs help us out, right? And we have node view options. These are certain things. Now you can see we have floating point, we have integer, string, Boolean, represented by different colors. So we need to remember these colors. The width of the wire is also very important. Scalar, 1D array, 2D array. It can also change 3D array also, right? So it can just add up. You can see the width changing, constantly changing, right? You can see that. And once you see this kind of an icon, that means this is a wrong connection, right? Wrong data types have been connected. So it also represents what type of data types you have connected. Now you can see the color. Orange color would represent the floating point has been connected with a string, which cannot be done, right? So So you need to change the connection, or you need to introduce certain things so that the floating point is actually converted to a string type, and then the string is supported, right? So the wires, this kind of an action would tell you that this is a broken connection, and then you cannot the data would not go beyond this, right? So this is how things happen here. LabVIEW help, very interesting, very important, right? You can search any topic. Comprehensive help is given, and I'll show you how this is being used. Then we are searching for control VIs and functions, right? I'll just show you how to use them. I'm just trying to give you certain names over here, and then we will be designing a few things, right? So we have what? We have control palette and we have function palette. I've just shown you them. The control palette in the front panel and the function palette in the block diagram configuration, right? And then we have a quick drop icon also where we can do it. And NI has given us a global search. Now this is all about the introduction about the software, how to utilize this software. I've just shown you how data flow can be monitored in this. So you'll see some dots going inside here, then moving out, then going inside, and then moving out, right? So this is how data flow can also be represented. Now this is a data flow quiz. We'll play this after designing a few things, right? Now what I'm trying to do is, again, we've just designed this. I'll make a new VI, control N, and then a new VI comes into picture. Now what I want is, I want to design something, say, I want to use a thermometer, right? I'll just expand this. Now you can see this over here, right? And I have a slider. Say I can use a slider with a pointer over here. So vertical pointer would work for me, right? I still hope that my voice is pretty much audible to all of you. So we have a thermometer over here and we have a pointer over here. Now what I need to do is I'll just make the reading to this point and then 200. So I can just click on and change the readings over here, as you can see, or right. So a thermometer and a slider. Simply you can either connect them. I've just connected them, run them, right? So because I have to run it continuously, so what I'm doing is I'm just putting them into a while loop again. Again, a while loop being utilized, create a control. The stop button comes into picture, right? And then now if you see, I just press the run. Now you see, you can see the change, right? Very simple, but very effectively being utilized. I've just written a simple, nothing I've written. I've just placed the two things, right? Now what you want is you want some things to be actually learned through this particular aspect of the designing. Now what we'll do is we'll try and see how we can change the scale from degree to Fahrenheit or whatever you want to do, right? So what I'll do is I'll just try and tell you how this thing can be actually done and effectively utilized or made into the things, right? So I'll just remove this and I'll use some numeric controls. You can see the numeric controls being utilized and I'm placing them over here, right? Now anyone who actually understands what needs to be done in this case? Actually, it is very difficult talking to the screen each time. So I still would want if you can just
Participants, if you have any query, please raise your hand. Or if you want to say something, you can raise your hand.
Even they can switch on their mics. They can switch on their mics. It will be easier.
Okay. Okay, participants, I have given permission to unmute yourself.
Chaliye, madam, no problems. I don't know. Yeah,
It's okay.
they are not trying. No problems at all. So again, what I'll do is I'll try and see how effective I can be, more effective with them, right? So again, I've changed the things as you can see over here. I'm just trying to insert certain formula nodes for all of you, and then we'll see how we can effectively convert the things into, say I want to convert from degree, Fahrenheit, etc. So this is just a basic formula that I want to create for you. Again, this has nothing to do with machine learning, but we are still learning. We are learning, and then we would like that the machine would also learn with us, right? So see, what I've done is a divider, a subtractor over here, and then creating some constant values, if you can see, right? Then I'll place the two outputs of the functions that I have used into the multiplier. The same would be multiplied, right? And the x and y inputs that were received, and the same would be given to the thermometer. Now see, an interface circuit has been resolved over here. So basically, I'm working with the equation that 32 degree for the value is there, and then it's the ninth value. So what I'll do is I'll write what 5 9 and then a 32, right? So this is just a simple formula for conversion from the degree to the Fahrenheit structure. You can see it, very simple it would be. So what we have designed is in no time we have designed a graphical representation of the structure, and then we haven't written a single line code. Again, I repeat, right? So now what we'll do is we'll just run this and see how our output is changing and how the output behaves. Now have a look. I hope you all can see this now, right?
Yes, so we can see.
The change is happening. Great. Now what I'll do is I'll just change this range to 100 so that it is more visible to you. Now you see, right? So according to the formula that we have described or given, the same thing is happening, right? And I repeat, I haven't written any code in this case, or I haven't written any big thing in this. And if I use the highlight execution, you see the data flowing inside. You can see the data flowing, right? And I can use this stop button also to stop the execution, right? So the execution gets stopped now. Now what I'll show you is a very interesting thing. Why I've designed this, just to show you an aspect of a sub VI. A VI within a VI, right? Now what I need to do is I'll just select this, right? Have a look. I just selected this, and I go to edit and create a sub VI. Just click onto this. So you will see the entire code vanishing away. You'll see the entire code gone, and you'll see an icon coming over. Let's see, right? So now this icon, when you double click onto this icon, inside it the code is there. Right? Have a look. Inside it the code is there now. Now what I've done is I've just saved all the entire code that I've written into a sub VI. Now this is the sub VI. I right click onto this, go to properties. I'll show you how effectively this sub VI also can be actually created and replaced, changed according to what we want, right? So, all right, now I double click onto this, go to this icon over here, right click on or double click onto this again icon over here, you see. So I write some thermometer coming, degree centigrade, right? Very simple. Or what I can do is I just remove this first, selecting this part, removing this, and place it over here. Right? Now you see degree centigrade. So it is telling me that my structure is now what something of changing from Fahrenheit to a degree centigrade, but the code is hidden behind. Now this is another thing that we can do. Nobody will be able to access until unless you share the entire thing with him, right? So this is a simple program that we had written. Again, if you run this will behave according to whatever you have designed it for. So I've just removed the highlight execution, right? Run this program and you see the output changing, right? Now, very simple structure and very easy to design. Now, this is how the data flow in the programming can be actually monitored. And I'll just, what I'll do is I'll go back to this particular code again without saving it. Or in that case, I can redesign it again for the benefit of everybody, right? It will take hardly a minute. So we have a vertical pointer, we have a thermometer, right? And in between, what we want is we want some values to be taken. And a divider circuit. So I can just place it so that it looks like what I want to do. Create a constant, again very quickly creating a constant over here. So we require two constant values, 5 and 9, so that the multiplication division is done, and then one of the values coming from the input part of the slider. Another value has to be again a constant value, say a 32 degree that we want, right? So it can be a 5 and a 9, and then we give it as an output to the thermometer. So very simple. I've just made it again for all of you. Now what we want is we want the values of the thermometer to be actually shown in some digital format, right? So what I'll do is, see, have a look what I'll do. I'll place a numeric indicator over here, another numeric indicator, and connect the output value with one of them and connect the input value with this part. Right, so when you run this now, the values of the numeric part will also be depicted to tell you that whether you're working correctly or not, right? So I'll just again put it inside a while loop and create control over here and then just run this. Now you'll see what I was just talking about, right? So I've just haven't changed the values, so that is the problem over here. So just change the values now. You can see the numeric values coming up, right? And you can do many more things with this part particularly. We have created a sub VI, and now what you want is say I just want to delay this particular or say I want that the output that I want should be actually delayed by some time, right? Or I want some output graph of the output and the input structure, right? So what I need to do is I need to right click over here, go to graph. A waveform chart can be placed over here because the window is slightly small. Right. So a waveform chart can be placed over here, and then you'll see the waveform chart here, and you can definitely connect this with the waveform chart. Very simple, right? And I place a wait time over here, create a constant, and you can write a value. Say write a value 100. Now you run this. Can you see the chart being plotted?
Yes, sir.
I hope everybody can see this now.
Yes, yes.
Right? Great. So if the values are not changing again, definitely, and then you can place a waveform chart for the output part also. So what I'm doing is I'm just utilizing the features of the software that I have. You'll see that that particular chart will also represent the same changes. If it is constant, then it will represent a line, right? Now there is some change happening. You'll see the change happening. Right, this timer has helped me to analyze this chart now. So again, this is the debugging part that or the representation part. Now, what we can do is we can talk about certain errors or removing of some parts in this, right? So though there are no errors, but still I can create one. Say I use a string type over here, string constant, and I try and connect it. Say I want to connect it with this. So now see, the error has come. Can you see that? Right. So when I double click onto this particular part, the error will also be shown. Or if I press this broken run, it will show me the error. So this is how the errors are represented. Now this is all about the working of the software that we have been learning for and how effectively this can be utilized. Now what I'll do is I'll just try and show you the Express VI. So what I'll do is I'll just press Control N and then go to another new window. So quickly going through the things, right clicking onto block diagram, and then what we have is we have an Express written over here. You can see this Express input and simulate signal. I place this block directly over here, right? I don't know whether I was fast or slow, but what I'll do is I'll just repeat it for the benefit of everybody. Right click onto block diagram, express, input, and then simulate signal. So I just place this block. Now you see sine, square, triangular, sort of, right? All the things inside one. I can extend it, right? And I want some display onto a waveform chart. So I place a chart. The chart has come over. What I'll do is I'll just the output will be connected to this chart. Now you can see the color of the wire has also changed. 2D array, 1D array, whatever output is coming, according to the wire has changed. If you want to see what is happening, Control H, you see data type of wire. Control H, you see simulate signal, right? Control H is for context help. If you don't understand what you have used, you can just write that. Now see what I'll do is I'll create certain things. A knob over here. So one of the knobs. Connecting this knob with the amplitude. Again, place a knob. Connecting this knob with the frequency. Another knob or dial up gauge, whatever you want, dial, right, with the offset part. Whatever you want to change, right? Again, another knob over here. And I want the phase should also be controlled by me, right? So I just created controls for everybody. So what I do is I change the name and I write amplitude. See, wherever you write, the same changes would happen. I'm just trying to show you everything in this particular aspect, so that in the next half, when we talk about how to design things, you are able to understand, right? So I write frequency, then I write the offset part, offset over here. So same thing is happening, and then I can just change it to phase. So phase, right? And I can change the values directly from 0 to 100 over here, and then just expand this so that it is easier for me. The representation becomes easier for me. Just have a look. I'm just moving them around so that I can change the size and then change the readings. So this is not easy in any of the other softwares. Again, I repeat, this is very difficult thing to do, right? But as far as this software is concerned, I'll let it be phase 0%. Right now, what I do is I simply run this. Now, when you run this, it won't show anything because it has just run once. So when I want to run it continuously, I told you we'll use a loop. We'll use everything inside a loop, right? So just see, I just created a while loop, placed the entire thing in this, create a constant, a stop button comes into picture, right? Here is the stop button, so I can place it over here and I can just expand it for you, right? Now you see what happens. Coming over. Just have a look. Right? Similar case in the lab that you do. Now this is very fast. Because this is very fast, what I want is I want this waveform to be slow. So what I'll do is I'll use a timing wait state. I'll put a wait in this, create a constant and write some value inside it. So how much time I want this waveform to wait. Now you see, I hope you can analyze the change. Right? I'm moving it and you see the change happening. Right? Everybody can notice this. Offset changed. Change the phase. Right? So you can see. So this is how a virtual lab is helping me analyze different aspects of the waveforms, different waveforms. I can change this to square also, or I can change it to triangular. Will be another aspect, right? Now you'll see a triangular wave coming in front of you, and say I change it. I don't change it, but I keep it to 10. So a lot of things you can see now. These are the things that you normally see in your textbooks. Now, how easy it can be in the form of a LabVIEW part. Now you can see this, right? So this is how virtual laboratory is helping us analyze different signals. Now, how about other aspects of machine learning? Now, this is a simple express VIs available. So there are so many express VIs. We have some input DAC assistant. We have some acquire sound read measurement file, some signal analysis where you can make the you can just directly design the filter, two-tone structure, distortion, etc., output files, right? So these are some express VIs available. Now you need to analyze the software to actually use them effectively, right? Now what I'll do is I'll quickly show you few examples, few learning examples where you will be able to actually analyze the machine learning part inside it, right? Because we are not acquainted enough with the machine learning part right now, but still I will try and show you few examples of the machine learning part over here through image. I don't know how many of you are working with the image processing, right? But there are a lot of things that you can do with the imaging part, right? So this is one of the examples over here, 3D image reconstructor. But I'll show you after showing you one of the other examples first. This is very interesting. Once I run this, you'll be surprised to see how effectively we will be able to analyze the 3D part of any of the medical images that we have, right? The next, before this, what I want to show you is, yeah, this is the OCR part, right? Right. Now, if you see this particular VI is talking about image type of structure. Now, this is how it has been designed, back end part, and the front end looks like this. So once I run this, have a look. You will see the string values being depicted in the image source and being read here. This is the place. If you want to slow down, you can increase the delay. I've increased the delay, it will be very easy for you to read this, right? So whatever image is being captured by the camera live, the number of that particular number on that particular image will be read in the form of a string. So we have just programmed a string part. Now this can be utilized as a feature of a machine learning, where you see any of the vehicles crossing, where you read the number plate of that vehicle, and you are not able to see the number clearly. So this particular design of OCR recognition will help you analyze what number is being represented there, and it will be easier for us to actually analyze it, right? So this can be done easily with the help of the image processing toolkit that is available inside this lab, right? I'll show you at the back end. It is not that difficult, but the point is we have a vision acquisition. Press Ctrl H and we'll show you how this is being utilized, right? So this is the only Express VI that I have used here, NI Vision Acquisition Wizard, which is launched, and this is basically using the IMAQ, right? The IMAQ standards, and this particular thing would help you read the file from the image and then and take out the text from that, right? So this is that simple. There's another very interesting example. I'm just trying to, yeah, object tracking, right? I'll just show you this. This is again a similar example over there. Now you see, I'll just increase the delay so that you're able to see. Just have a look over this. I'll just run it again for you. You can see that block, red block, it is identifying the type of the vehicle that you want to actually identify. Again, this is based on the machine learning aspects. The algorithm has to be developed by you. But again, I repeat, you need not. Now see, this is very slow, but the actual traffic is like this, right? Have a look. It is identified. It is identified whatever vehicle you want to identify. So that particular thing has to be given by you people, right? So this was a very interesting thing that we are trying to implement this to further extent also. This is just a very simple example that I've showed you, right? Again, the NI Vision and IMAQ toolkit has been utilized in this, right? So it is not that difficult. The backend programming, I repeat, I haven't written a single line code for this, right? Just I've tried to understand how the image toolbox can be implemented, and then how we can actually utilize the features of that particular toolbox to analyze what type of image we want. And this is the delay that I just showed you, right? So very interestingly, this is one of the applications of that particular thing. Now again, you can see if you want to increase and decrease the speed of that particular structure, that can also be done with the help of this software, right? Again, I'll just show you the last part. That is very, very difficult, but still it requires a lot of patience to design these kind of things. This is a working example given by National Instruments. So we are trying to use this for biomedical part. I'm just showing you the example right now. I'll just run this. This is a 2D viewer and this is a surface plot of a 3D viewer, right? So an image scan has been taken of the skull of a human being. Now that image scan is converted into a 3D image. You can see it over here. Interestingly, I can rotate this. You can see this. I can rotate it to any of the forms. Now what I'm trying to show you by this is that this is the surface plot. Once the surface plot is there with us, I can tell the machine that if these kind of features are available in some individual, that particular individual needs to be scanned. If these kind of features are not available, you need to stop him. If these kind of features are missing, then what needs to be done? So this is all about that, right? So this is a 3D scanned image of the skull. Now this particular example basically helps us analyze the 3D image of any of the X-rays that we have, right? This is a 2D image, all from top, bottom, and the different views, and then it has created a 3D image for us, right? So the images accordingly have to be channelized in this, and then we can just have a look, right? You can see it. I'm changing some values over here, and you see the change happening there. Can you see the face coming in front of you? Rather than the skull, the face, almost you are able to recognize what person he or she could be. I hope everybody can see this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this is the benefit, and this is the thing that you can know. You are just able to if I use the image enhancer part to this, I'll be able to actually recognize who was this person. Now the database can be prepared, and the same can be distributed to any other system so that we can analyze whether this particular person is a criminal or whatever he is, or wherever. So there are so many applications. See, there are so many applications. And just try and have a look. Maybe it shows me the exact part also, but I'm just not able to get it right now. But still you are able to see very clear kind of an image in front of you, right? Nevertheless, I think I would just stop my discussion over here only, and then I would just try and ask few questions if there are any from the participants, because this is a very vast and never-ending topic. We have been trying to work very hard onto many things, right? We have just filed a few patents also, few patents onto the machine learning aspects. I'll be giving a lecture on one of the patents that I filed recently, right? So that's it from my side. I would like to request the
Sir, can you please
participants.
switch on your camera?
Sure, madam, but I need to stop sharing my screen. Then only the camera would be switched on. So you want me to stop my screen sharing?
If nothing left for presentation more, then you can
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, nothing left from my side, ma'am. I'm done with my presentation. So I hope you can see me now.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm
We
still
have
waiting for you. I'm still waiting for the questions to arrive. In the meantime, there was a quiz that I had, but I don't think we have that much time left. So I'll leave that.
We have time, sir, if you want.
Okay. So nevertheless, ma'am, I've already shown what best I could have done in this particular part. So if the audience is interested in asking few questions, then I'll be able to talk about those things. Anybody who is interested in knowing or asking few things?
We can see one hand raised.
Great. So I'm just waiting for that particular person to ask. Hmm.
Yeah. I can't read the name properly actually. It is K dot Bohas. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but I cannot pronunciate this name.
no problem. Good
Nevertheless,
morning.
yeah,
Sir,
sir, please go ahead.
yeah. So you raised your hand. If you want to ask something, you can ask, please.
Yeah. So good morning. Do you hear me?
I hear you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor, for your rich presentation, and I can understand that you will need more time to present more details, but it's quite interesting, and I already downloaded the lab view to try it.
Great. That's
I,
great.
I Thank you. So I have one question. I asked the same question for the two first examples. I put it in the chat too. Is how can you, because I can see what we can do. We can do with the LabVIEW, but how can we extract data flow, especially when we will change thermometer or something like this? How can we extract the data flow, maybe in a table?
Very
To
simple, sir. Very, very simple, sir. What I'll do is I'll switch off my camera and then show you the screen again. Very, very. I'm thankful to you for asking this. I thought nobody would ask. But yes, thank you very much, sir, for asking the things. You were asking for the data flow, capturing of data, right?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
can. Yeah.
Great, great. So now you can see there is a icon called as File IO and Write to Spreadsheet. I just clicked onto this, right? So now you need to select what kind of data you want to write, whether
Okay.
it is a 2D data, whether it is Mandi data, whether it is appended to a file or whatever you want to do, right? So strings can also be written. I hope you can understand this now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So I've
Yeah.
just connected it. I'll run this, right? And you'll see it will ask me where you want to save this file now.
Uh, okay. Okay.
Right, so you need to just give it a name, say data. I've given a name data, and it will start saving the information, right?
Okay. So it's a table or Excel is like an
Yeah,
instrument. It's
yes,
an
sir, yes,
instrument.
sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. It is just an Excel file. Now you'll see the data path. Just I'll stop this, right? So I'll give it a path, and the same the file will be saved at that particular path.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Sir,
very much.
sir, I'm so sorry. Can you please name yourself? I was to pronounce your name, sir.
Yeah. So my name is Kamal Bouassoun.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. And
Amal
really
ji,
sorry.
very glad that you have already downloaded the software, and I hope that you will be able to utilize the features of this particular software. I don't know how many of you have been using this, but this is one of the most effective way of programming these days. I'll tell you why. Because you are not you are saving your time by designing good systems, by designing effective systems where all the entire output structures is available, and you can change it according to the required input, right? So say sometimes something strikes to your mind that, oh, I should have done this. Now you need not go back into the code. You have just the front panel in front of you or the block diagram configuration. You can just implement it like I just did it, right? So this is that simple. So thank you very much, ma'am, for having me over. For the benefit of everybody, what I'll do is I'll again stop my camera and just share my screen again to show you my mail ID and the contact number, so that if anyone wants to contact me, you can definitely talk to me. Or I'll just mention my contact number also over here. Right. So I hope you are able to see my screen. This is just for the reference of everybody. I can mention another mail ID that I'm currently using. So I should have written it earlier, but nevertheless, thank you very much for giving me this time.
Any other question from participants?
Yeah, please.
Any other question from
I'll
participants?
be very happy to answer that.
You can raise your hands, participants, if there is any question.
So in the meantime, I hope everybody has noted this down. Whosoever wants to contact or get in touch with me, the mail ID and the contact number is there for you. That's it from my side. So I'll just stop presenting the screen, and ma'am, you can take over the session now from my side.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
I hope I was able to. I hope I was able to contribute to this program. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Those who are not aware of this LabVIEW software, because it's not possible that everyone is knowing everything. So, like
Right.
me, I'm not aware of this LabVIEW software. So, I have learned many things from this your session. So, thank you
Thank you
so
very
much
much.
for giving us insights on this software. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot to the ILM college. Thank you, ma'am. Madhula, thank you for inviting me over. And I hope in the next session, I'll just announce it for all the participants. In the next session, we'll be designing a practical system using the fuzzy logic. So this is one of the most utilized machine learning techniques, the fuzzy systems. And I'll be telling you how easily you can design a system using the fuzzy logic theory. We've just filed a patent on this, right? The greenhouse structure. So I'll be giving you a practical hands-on training session again for the LabVIEW part, trying to introduce that fuzzy logic structure to you.
Sure, sir. Sure.
So thanks to all the participants for listening to me. Thank you all, and that's it from my side. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a really great session. This side, Dr. Manjula, sir.
Manjula ma'am, thank you very much. I have been missing you out. I thought you were not there. Thank you very much for inviting me, and lovely talking to you.
Yes, sir. Same here. We expect more from your side also.
Yeah, definitely, sir.
Right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So in that case, can I just cut this out?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dear participants, now our next session will start at 12 o'clock. So you can join at 12 o'clock now.